Hello and welcome back to Gary's Garage, and in this episode I hope there's nothing more serious than the British weather to stop me getting the Anglia outside. So last time we got pretty close to getting the car outside if it wasn't for those fuel lines and having to take out the engine and gearbox again. But that's done now, and the weather isn't the greatest today, so what I'm going to do now is get underneath and secure up those fuel lines that I moved. I don't think they're going to catch on anything just yet, just moving it inside, in and out, but it's better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, the weather isn't really the best for taking a car outside right this moment. So I'll get on and do that. We'll look at getting the wheels on, the ECU retuned for these new injectors, and just generally do a few bits of prep ready that when the weather is good enough, I've got nothing left to do and I can just drive it outside. Okay, so we've got fuel line coming down, running along beside the exhaust and back up above the diff. So that's nice and secure. Shouldn't touch the prop shaft. So on to the next thing. I'd forgotten just how nice this looks when it's down on the ground and just how low and sleek the car is. It's been, that high up in the air for way too long. But it's finally down on its wheels again. Yes! So a couple of things I need to do is still update the settings on the ECU and fill it with coolant. The weather at the moment is about 50% chance of rain today, so let's do those things and then see what the weather looks like outside, and hopefully we might risk it. Otherwise we might have to wait till another day. But let's see if the great British weather is great or whether it's not. So of course it's now raining, which is not necessarily a bad thing because as I was topping this up then, a little bit kind of overflowed. I put just a little bit too much in and it's run all the way down the back of the radiator. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it and let that all finish dripping and drying off. And then when I do actually get it up and running, hopefully then any drips that I get are actually leaks and not just where I've spilt some. As I said, nothing ever goes easy with this car. So I'm going to have to leave it just here until it is dry again. So I'll be back with you when I'm ready to actually take the car outside.
A few moments later.
It's not raining. Yes. So very shortly I'm going to be taking the car outside and starting it up and trying to get it up to temperature. I've just spent a few minutes just checking over a few things. I did notice that the radiator fans weren't working, and they should have been on permanently at low speed, just with the ignition on but not running. There was a couple of loose grounds over by the wiring, and one of those grounds just so happened to be for the relay that provides power to the fans. So that's now sorted. I have also, over the last couple of rainy days, sorted out my wideband O2 sensor to CAN bus circuitry and got that working, so I can now see the lambda readings in the ECU through CAN bus, which is brilliant. So now when I do fire it up and try to do the tuning, I know that's going to be totally accurate. What I'm seeing on the display in the ECU is what it's actually reading. So yeah, it's getting exciting. I can't wait to get it outside and actually hear it run and get up to temperature. It's been sat here in the garage for, say, the last few days while it's been raining, and there hasn't been any drips of coolant on the floor. So that's looking really positive. There's no static leaks, at least. We will see what happens when it actually gets up to temperature, though, and gets some pressure in it. That will be the test. So, yeah, join me in just a moment when we'll get the car outside and we'll see what it's like. Really excited now. Okay. There will be air in the injectors, probably. Okay. I think we are running very rich. So I'm going to turn the size of the injectors down. So rather than it thinking that it's got 1000cc injectors, I'm going to go for, say, 500cc injectors. Oh, we're going into anti-lag mode. So that is one of my digital inputs. And we have, I need to get this outside before too long, electronic throttle, e-throttle setup, on setup mode, anti-lag for ignition 7, table 2. So where have we got anti-lag? Motorsport. Anti-lag is on digital input 9, which used to be that. Anti-lag mode off. That's now my clutch switch. Okay, so I should be able to drive it outside now, hopefully. If we can get it into gear. Okay, getting into gear is a bit difficult. Okay, but we're running. Just about. So we're running, just. But my fueling is all wrong. So it thinks I've got injectors that are half the size. So it's idling quite lean, running quite lean. No, or it was running really rich. Okay, so apparently that's running AFR 14s. What are we doing on our warm-up? Our lambda average is wrong. We've got one sensor that's not reading right. That'll be up to pressure then. There won't be a leak in there then. I think it's just the tappets. I hope it's just the tappets. I should have looked at whether there was a drip first before opening that, because I don't know what on the floor is from this. I don't know what that is from me opening it. was a bit silly. Oh, I can look back at the footage. It's definitely idling quite nicely. Let's have some coolant burning off. I don't know whether that's new or old now. Radiator's definitely nice and warm. Okay, that clutch is definitely not right. There is something wrong with the clutch. Okay, clutch not good. Clutch and flywheel not good. So that's definitely an engine out job then. Yep, that is... Okay, that'll be the clutch knackered then. Something's wrong with the clutch. So guess what? Engine's coming out again. It's going a bit too close that way. So, where to start? Mixed emotions at the moment. So, the coolant test was nullified by the fact that I loosened the radiator cap when I thought it was still cool enough, but it had built up some pressure, so that spurted coolant everywhere. So my leak test, no result. Injector wise and fueling wise, I think that's kind of okay now. To start with, the fuel map was way off. I had to change the size that the ECU thought the injectors were down from 980cc down to about 400 to even get it to run. And the problem with that, I think, is because I had a lot of the injector characteristics for the original injectors baked into the fuel map. So that's probably that the dead times were wrong. So it thought that the injectors took longer to open than they actually did. So the injectors were opening earlier than the ECU thought. So it was thinking that it needed to put less fuel in. Hence why it didn't run right. But I copied the base map from the Link Monsoon, which the base map luckily comes in modelled mode, which is what I'm using. And as soon as I pasted that in and set the injector back to 980cc, it came up and started idling pretty nicely again. The ignition idle control is kind of working. It's all right at lower temperatures, but higher engine coolant temperatures, I still need to tweak that. Idle control is always a pain. Coolant all kind of seems to be flowing through. I was getting heat coming from the heater inside, and so that all looked good. The coolant temperature was stabilising at sort of high 80s, early 90s, which is bang on where I want it to be. And then I tried to reverse it into the garage, and that's where things went a little bit worse. So something's happened with the clutch and flywheel and release bearing and all of that kind of gubbins that's buried right down in the middle, and I now cannot get it into gear. So guess what that means? Possibly that the engine and gearbox has to come out again. I will have a look and see if I can see anything through the inspection hatch and where the fork goes, but I don't think there's going to be anything I can do there. I think it is going to have to come out, and possibly the whole clutch, flywheel, gearbox adapter scenario needs to be revisited, because it's never really been totally right. Yeah, it's just not great, and I don't really know what yet without looking at it and figuring it out. So that's where we're at. I think that engine and gearbox is going to have to come out again. There is still possibly a issue with the coolant hoses. There might be a leak there, but I don't know. But they've got to come off again anyway, so pointless me doing anything. Fueling is kind of okay. One of my wideband sensors is broken and not working, so that's another wideband oxygen sensor that I'm going to have to buy. That's just fluctuating between fully lean and fully rich, so that definitely isn't working. The other one, thankfully, seems to be okay, so at least I don't have to replace both. So, yeah. There we go. So, I will look at pulling all of this lot out yet again. And I think that will wait until next time. So, if you are enjoying my trials and tribulations and want to help me out, then subscribing on YouTube, liking, sharing, and you can support me on Patreon as well. The links are all down in the description. That will really help out. I'm hoping to, use that money to buy me some tools so that I can do things a little bit nicer and quicker and easier in the future, rather than struggling along with what I've got. Help me get these things just a little bit quicker. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and join me next time on Garry's Garage. Bye.